welcome to PCTV. I'm Victoria Smith. In today's show, we have a healthy mix of hardware and software. We'll start off with Byte Magazine's monthly new product review. Approach Software will show us their relational database for Windows, and PC Computing's Ron White will show us how an inkjet printer works. Once a month, Byte Magazine's senior editor Rob Mitchell shows us his pick of new products you should know about. Here's Rob with this month's selection.
Notebook computers have gotten small enough that you can take them just about anywhere. But you get stuck when you've got to print because that means bringing an extra piece of bulky equipment and the associated cables. Well, Canon's NoteJet 486 is the first computer I've seen that integrates both functions in a single housing. This is the main system unit. It includes a bubble jet printer, which gives you 360 dot per inch output. You feed paper right in here, the print head is under here, and the paper comes out the other end. There's even an automatic sheet feeder. Just lift up the keyboard, and you can put up to 10 sheets of paper right into the machine. Close it, and you're in business. Now I'm going to go ahead and print a document right now so you can get an idea of the sound and the print quality. After 60 pages of printing, you open up this door on the front of the case, and there's your ink bladder. You just replace it using the online instructions that Canon includes with the machine. As for the system itself, it's a 486 25 megahertz unit with 4 megabytes of memory and an 85 megabyte hard disk drive. It also includes a 3.5-inch floppy on this side, 2 PC card slots on this side that conform to the PC MCIA 2.0 standard, Windows, DOS, and this external handheld mini trackball, which is actually quite handy. Everything altogether sells for $2,495 list. Power consumption is an issue for any laptop computer, and obviously if you're printing, it's going to be a big issue. This machine has 3 separate power controls, one for the printer, one for the automatic sheet feeder, and one for the system unit, and you can expect to get about 4 hours of battery life when you're not printing. Now if you are, Canon says you'll get 8 pages of output before you run out of juice. I got 28 just printing plain text, but clearly you want to be near an outlet if you've got to do a lot of printing. In terms of size, the machine measures just 12 inches wide by 10 inches deep by 2 inches thick. That's very, very compact when you consider that you're getting a printer in the bargain. Also, the PC card slot on the side can hold an optional PC fax card that will turn the machine into a plain paper fax machine. Now there's 2 things I'd like to see improve here. One is the display. It's a super twist display, but a lot of machines have triple super twist, which gives you better contrast and quality. Also, I'd like to see the machine be able to do a trickle charge. That is, you should be able to use it with it plugged in, and the battery should charge in the background. Let's take a look at the output that we got. As you can see, this should be more than adequate for most needs, especially when you're on the road. So for getting this kind of print quality on the road, the Canon NoteJet is the most space-efficient product I've seen. For PCTV, I'm Rob Mitchell.
Pretty amazing, wasn't it? An inkjet printer right in the notebook computer. You know, we're hearing so much about inkjet printers lately, and we thought maybe you'd want to know how they work. As usual, we'll call upon PC Computing Magazine's executive editor, Ron White, who has authored a wonderful book called How Computers Work.
Inkjet printers are a great alternative to laser printers. They're cheaper, but they provide the same fine resolution. And the way they do this is by spitting little drops of ink at the paper. It's a very minuscule process, but you can see how it works with illustrations from how computers work. Behind each little nozzle in the inkjet, there's an electrical device that heats this black ink up to 900 degrees Fahrenheit. This causes the ink to swell, it forms a little bubble, and finally it gets so big that the capillary action on the outside of the bubble can't hold it together, and it just spews out onto your paper. That in turn creates a vacuum that sucks more ink on top of the resistor, which heats it again and spits it out again. Look, it may be spitting, but it works. That's all we need. This is Ron White for PCTV.
We're going to take a break now. We'll be right back. seems as if relational databases for the Windows environment are becoming as common as mouse pads. But easy and relational in the same package isn't always the case. Approach Software's Marcus Ayu claims that Approach for Windows brings relational power that's easy to use. Let's see.
The new generation of database products for Windows is still growing, with everyone claiming ease of use. Marcus, what makes Approach 2.0 different?
Well, Approach 2.0 is different because we've designed the product specifically for the average computer user, someone that uses a word processor or a spreadsheet, not the programmer like many of our competitors there. So that makes it a lot easier because Approach is designed specifically for the rest of us.
I see. And what are the system requirements?
Approach runs extremely lean and mean. We run about 2.8 megabytes of hard drive space, and we can actually run under 2 megabytes, but like all Windows applications, the more memory the better. We recommend 4 megabytes.
Sure, and Windows itself does take some headroom.
Exactly.
Yeah, and what are we running on right now?
We're actually running on a system that's pretty average, 36SX25.
That is pretty average.
Yeah.
That's, let's see what we can do.
Yeah, well, it was pretty snappy. Well, one of the things that Approach excels at is centers around the 4 things you're comfortable with, most database people want to achieve. And that's sales, reports. We also do mailing labels.
Sure.
You can see that here. And also, we can create form letters, which we'll show you in just a bit. And finally, forms. So again, you don't have to worry about query by example, files, and all these macros and things. We center around the 4 things that you want to achieve and work with in a database.
I see, and the bottom line is no one wants to be a programmer. They just want it to be easy to use.
Exactly. So let me go about and recreate these things here. I'm going to go back, go to New here. Oops. And what we can do here is I'm going to go to Open, and we can create an entirely new database from scratch. Approach excels in its file compatibility. That's as if you had a word processor that could read WordPerfect, Omni Pro, and Word documents all at once. You don't have to worry about importing or losing any information or style information. Approach excels at that because we read everything directly and it's very fast.
I see, and that also saves hard drive space by not having to import and then resave the information in another format.
Exactly. Let me start off here and just show you some of the formats we support: DBase 4, Fox Pro, Paradox, and we can even access some of the SQL or structured query language type databases where corporate data is now housed.
Sure, for the more powerful systems manager.
Exactly. So you can use Approach to do ad hoc querying and reporting. Well, let me go ahead and open up a DBase file. Now keep in mind that Approach is a full-fledged database. We're going to be opening this file, but you could also create the DBase file or Paradox file or anything you want, all within Approach without needing those other applications.
I see, and then it saves it in a native format that's compatible with other?
Exactly, so you can share that information.
Great.
Let me go ahead and open up the manufacturer database here that already exists. Approach comes up and gives you a standard default form, but because it's Windows, we probably want to make this look a lot nicer.
I would think so.
So there's really 2 areas of Approach that you need to know about. There's browse mode, in which you enter in information, you also look at information, and there's design mode, which is basically a whole graphics package built into your database product. Comes with a whole suite of tools here, and basically to start getting going here, we're just going to start manipulating the fields as if they're objects on the screen. And we'll just shrink these things down. We'll move the zip down here, move this to the right, and then I'm going to center this.
And I noticed when you moved them, they all automatically lined up. Is there a grid capability in there? That I see. So it makes it very easy to line up. You don't need to be a graphic artist, in other words, to do graphical forms.
Now let me go ahead and drop in a graphic, spice this up a bit. And in Approach, you have to simply go to Paste from File, and we support all the standard graphic types that you'd expect.
And that's a Windows bitmap format for the viewers who didn't know what that was.
Exactly. Now let me go ahead and create a title. Use my text tool here, and we'll just call this the data entry form. Like so. Need a little space here. And like you'd expect, just double click. Comes up with a text style dialog.
I see. So you can format right on the form on the fly pretty quickly.
Exactly. And we can create a nice looking title here. Now the final thing I'd like to do on my form is I'd like to create a nice little checkbox. And boxes allow you to quickly enter in information, primarily yes, no information or Boolean information. So let me go ahead and set that to the right. And this is a field that tells me if someone's in our Spring catalog or not. Let me go back to Browse. in a matter of seconds, you can see we've got a pretty nice looking form.
I see, and you could have multiple check boxes if you wanted.
Exactly. Well, let's move on here, and what we'd like to do is create a form letter. Before we do that, though, let me do a find to find just the people I want before I send out that form
I see,
letter.
because you'd never want to send your form letter to everyone, most
Exactly.
likely. Yeah.
Let's say for this example, I want to send a form letter to the people in our spring catalog and state all I did here was just click on the find button. And
Now
that's-
this looks just like the regular data entry form, but this is also where you perform a
Exactly.
find.
We set you in a blank form here, and we found in our user stays that that's just easier instead of coming up with a query by example table, and you have to do a lot of structured things there.
Sure, some of the more powerful packages give you a very arcane methodology for finding things.
Yeah, it's such a simple task. So for example, all I want to do is find people in our spring catalog. I'll just click on that, and people in the state of California. Just type that in and then go to enter here, and Approach finds those people. There's 17 out of 76. So now we're in our subset of our data.
I see.
So now when I go and create our form letter, we'll just use that subset of information. Let me go back to design mode, and I'm going to go here to create form letter.
Okay.
And all I have to do is select just the fields I want to see in that form letter. Go to OK. And Approach creates a nice text editor for you, provides that built into your database.
I see, so you don't have to go to a word processor to do your merge now.
We save you a lot of time and a lot of hassle. Let me go ahead and just insert a date here, so we always have a date in there.
Okay.
And I'll start formatting this as if I am in a word processor. We provide you a lot of formatting capabilities here. I'm just going to move the state field to the top and then type in dear. Now the chevrons, or the greater than, less than symbols, just represents where data is going to pop in.
I see, so that's your link to the actual field in your database.
Exactly. Let me now type in a little message. How are you? And then type my name. And we are not a word processor and don't claim to be, but we do have a lot of power built in. We can go to text style here, and I can make that bold, 24 point. I can even change that to a different font. Because I'm an egomaniac, we'll make this a little bit bigger. Click OK. And when we go back to browse mode, we can see that Approach automatically fills in or merges all that information. So here we have a customer, and we automatically take away all the blank spaces.
I see, so there's no other formatting necessary. Well, we're just about out of time in this segment. We're going to come back in a few minutes and look at some of the more powerful relational capabilities. But for now, is Approach 2.0 available now?
Definitely.
Okay, and the suggested retail?
It's about $3.99, but like most companies these days, we have a special for $99.
That's great. Well, thanks for joining us, Marcus.
Thank you.
Here's a graphic with the suggested retail price.
Still ahead, we'll look at some of Approach for Windows' more powerful capabilities. We'll get some tips for cleaning up Windows, and some lucky viewer will receive a month's subscription to Prodigy's online service. Don't go away. As we saw earlier, Approach for Windows makes it easier to set up a database. Right now, Marcus IU shows Joe Bork Approach's relational capabilities.
Thanks again for being here, Marcus. Right now, we're going to take a look at some of the more powerful relational capabilities of Approach 2.0. Let's jump right in.
Fantastic. Well, the real measure of an easy-to-use database is not how it works on the basic things, but how it works with the harder to do things or the more powerful things.
Sure.
So we'd like to show you that and how easy it is in an approach.
Okay.
Well, the first thing we want to do here is we want to see for each manufacturer, we would like to see multiple products. And that's really, you need relational capabilities for that. But you don't really need to know that. And relational sometimes is a scary word for most people.
It is. And quickly, could you explain what a relational database is, just so our viewers know?
Well, basically, what we want to achieve here is we want to take two databases and combine them together and have them act as one giant database. It's just a lot more efficient, and you can do some special things like we'll show you in just a bit.
I see. And for the power user, Approach can link up to 10 different databases in different formats. Is that correct?
And all without programming.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, let me show you how to do that. We'll go back to design mode, and I'll go to File, Join. And here we have the DBase database that we're working on right now.
Okay.
And what I'd like to do is connect that to the product database. So we'll go to Open here. It's not showing up here because it's actually a Paradox database.
I see.
So let me switch over to Paradox. And that's very common in large corporations. One department standardizes on one database and another standardizes on a different database.
Sure.
And we have the ability to combine both of them, whereas in the past you probably would have been stuck. Well, right now what we do is select the two like fields, click on Join, and now once these two are equal to each other, they act as one giant database.
I see. So there's no going in and having to create key fields. It just, you point and click and it finds it.
It's that easy.
That's great.
Well, let me show you what we want to achieve. We want to create a, for each manufacturer, each product. So let me go ahead and do that. I'll go to Design, Add Repeating Panel, and we'll just say we want to see 3 lines. Select the fields you want to see, which are product and sales, and we'll just add some nice color here. A nice yellow color. Click OK, and we'll move this to the center, go back to Browse, and for each manufacturer, you can see the 2 different products that they make. If we move to the next record here, or next manufacturer, you can see there's lots of products for them too.
I see, and you have a scroll bar there, so you don't have to go off the screen to find things. You can stay right in your form.
And this is all live data. If I come in here and notice that don't like the word tops there, I can click out, and that automatically updates the database. So if you were looking at this with Paradox for DOS, you'd see that automatically update.
I see. And also, if you have your database and you don't want people to make changes, you can also lock people out of selected fields, can't you? That's great.
Yeah, let's show you how to do that. Let's say, for example, we want for a manufacturer here, we want people to always type in a name.
Sure,
So
that
to
makes
make
sense.
Exactly. So we're going to set a validation rule there. And also for the state field, we want people to choose from a pick list of items. So a drop-down list that people can choose from. Let me go back to design mode and show you exactly how that's done. We'll go to field definition. That's where all our fields are.
Right.
Select on manufacturer, go to the options dialog. And all I have to do here is just click on this checkbox, and now Approach will automatically ask you to enter in that information and make sure that you do that.
I see. So if you try and get away without putting that in, it's going to tell you to put it in.
Exactly. And in the programmable databases, that actually takes about 8 steps to do, and you actually have to do some coding.
Yeah, I have done it, and it's not always easy. Yeah.
So here we also want to do a pick list for the state field. I'll just double click and go to value list, click on value list here, and we can type in the values that we want. Let's say we want California, Washington.
Now this is going to take a while if you want to put in all 50
Exactly.
states.
It could take a long time. So that's why we've given you another option here. This other radio button will actually read in all the values from the database immediately. So we've just read every single unique value
I see.
and plopped it into the list for you, so you don't have to type in all the states.
And it did it pretty quickly for such a slow machine that we're working on as well.
Approach is very fast. PC Week Labs gave us a perfect 5 score in both ease of use and performance.
That's great.
So let's show you how that works now. Let me go back to Browse. We'll create a new record by clicking on the New Record button. And let's say we want to fill in a state. We'll just click on that, and the state pops down. So we can pick from a pick list. Let's say I want Massachusetts. I can just click on the letter M, and it takes me there. Also, if I click on manufacturer and click out, it won't let me because we clicked on that checkbox to say filled in.
I see. So you can customize your database so that your data entry people will have a really easy time with automatic entry, and so they'll know what they're doing, basically.
Exactly.
Great. Well, thanks again for joining us, Marcus, and
Thank you.
showing us some of the more powerful capabilities of Approach 2.0.
Fantastic.
You can see that Windows has made software easier to use, but Windows itself is still a complex graphical user interface. Fred Langa, editorial director of Windows Magazine, is here with a useful tip for cleaning up Windows.
I've never heard anyone say that Windows runs too fast. And you know, sometimes the more you run Windows, the slower it seems. And it may not be your imagination. The reason lies in a bad programming practice that too many programs still use today. What they do when you first install them is write information about themselves into two vital files, win.ini and system.ini, winini and systemini. These are initialization files that Windows uses to store vital information about the system that you're using and the software that runs on it. Things like what fonts you have, where your swap file is, and many other vital parameters. Now, when you first load a program that modifies the winini and systemini, there's no problem. Things run fine. The problem comes later when you upgrade the software or perhaps cease using the software and remove it from your hard drive, because the information that these programs wrote into your winini and systemini remain behind like leftovers. It's almost as if the ini files were Windows attic, and over time the attic fills with junk. Fortunately, there's a very easy way to clean out Windows Attic and make it fast again, and I'll show you how. Let's take a look. I'm going to begin by taking a look at File Manager. Before we do anything with our ini files, because these are so vital, there's a very important preliminary step, which I've already taken here. The ini files are all located in your Windows subdirectory. What I did was create a new subdirectory off Windows called Backup, and I copied my systemini and winini into this new subdirectory. The idea is that if I do anything wrong when I'm editing the original systemini and winini, which remain in the Windows subdirectory, I can simply copy these files back and get back to where I was. So even the worst case scenario is easy to recover from. Now, how do you edit a winini and a systemini? Well, we'll pop over to Program Manager, go up to File, Run, and type in the name of a program that is on your hard drive in the Windows System area, but one that you may have never seen, and it's called sysedit. Sysedit opens a special version of Notepad, which has 4 sub-windows. Here I'll enlarge the System Configuration Editor, sysedit, and the 4 files it opens inside are systemini, winini, configsys, and autoexecbat. We don't need these last 2, so I'll get them out of the way and enlarge the winini window. There are a lot of obscure-looking things, arcane commands that are in here, but all you need to do is look for the names of programs that you no longer run. For instance, here's a program that I don't use anymore. This is a simple text editor, so I can simply highlight the no longer relevant program name and delete it. In this case, I still do use outside in for Windows, so I'll leave this line alone. And it's a simple matter of scrolling through the file and looking for any other names of programs that you no longer run. For instance, down here in the embedding section, this looks very complex and dense. And you start reading it and you can see some familiar program names. But here's a program that I no longer use. I can simply highlight the line that no longer applies and delete it. Continue doing this through the bottom of the file and then minimize the window. Then you do the same thing to the systemini file, going through here, looking for the names of programs that you no longer use and deleting them. When you're done, you simply exit the System Configuration Editor. If you've made changes, it will remind you and ask if you want to save the changes. Answer yes. You then, on the Program Manager menu, File, Exit Windows to restart the system. So if your Windows is getting sluggish, this is a very simple way for you to go in and clean out what may be junk left over in your ini files and pick up some of the speed you once had. It's very easy to do. For PCTV, I'm Fred Langa.
We're going to take a break now. Here's a graphic with PC Connection's top 10 best-selling software packages for this month. We'll be right back. It's time for our weekly giveaway. This week we're giving away a 1-month subscription to the Prodigy online service, along with the Hayes Personal Modem 2400 and Prodigy's communication software, all for the Macintosh. On Prodigy you'll find everything from stock tips to weather reports to online shopping. And the winner is Marilyn Aylesworth of Beaverton, Oregon. Congratulations, Marilyn. Next week we'll give away CARE's Image Assistant, one for Windows and one for the Macintosh. Image Assistant is a color image editing software package that allows advanced photo retouching of scanned images with special effects, image blending, and a whole lot more. Now, to be eligible for our weekly giveaway, you just send us your name, address, phone number, and the type of system that you use to the address that appears on the screen. And remember, one entry makes you eligible for all giveaways. And please tell us where and how you're viewing our show. Well, that's all we have time for this week. As always, we had a great time. We hope you did too. We'll see you next week.